All right, so Uber Connect was meant to be a way for people to send non-food items just across town. The rideshare app launched its courier service during the worst of the pandemic back in 2020. Well, now some drivers tell NBC News they're inadvertently becoming drug mules. NBC News correspondent Zinhle Essamuah investigates.
This man, an Uber driver for 6 years, recently opted into the rideshare app's 2-year-old service, Uber Connect. But he and at least 5 other Uber drivers across the country say what began as a COVID-era courier service for care packages and board games now leaves a few drivers at risk of facilitating what they say are illicit drug transports.
There was one package that was from an area of the city that's known to have drug dealers, and this person actually took pictures of my car and my license plate. It was implied that there would be an issue if the package didn't arrive.
We're concealing Sydney's identity, using a pseudonym, and changing his voice as he fears potential retribution from Uber and drug dealers. Uber Connect allows customers to send goods to a location transported by Uber drivers. The app does not allow drivers to open deliveries. Sydney says many of his deliveries have been suspicious, though he has not opened them.
When I picked the package up, the person who was giving it to me had track marks in their arms.
And when you say track marks, I see you gesturing to your vein.
Yes.
As in needles?
Needles, yes.
In an investigation with NBC's Dave Ingram, we connected with 6 current and former Uber drivers who verified their identity with us, most from a Reddit forum where Redditors who say they're Uber drivers post about their experience with Uber Connect. In at least one case, the allegations went beyond the internet. A Tampa-based Uber driver did report their suspicions to police. They got an Uber Connect package and held it up to the light, telling NBC they looked inside the bag and saw, quote, 2 white crystal-like rocks inside a clear plastic bag. Police say field tests returned negative. They could not determine what the substance was and are awaiting further testing. We reached out to police departments in over 20 cities across the U.S., asking if they had similar complaints from Uber Connect drivers. The Chicago Police Department telling NBC of 2 incidents where Uber Connect drivers suspected they were transporting drugs. Other departments said they did not have records that matched our request, or they could not complete the request. And we're still waiting for some police departments to respond to our public information request. The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration declined NBC's request for comment.
The problem is there's no screening of the package, so like as a driver, you have no way to definitively know what's in there.
Have you expressed these concerns to Uber, to law enforcement, and if so, what have they told you?
I have not expressed them.
It's hard to tell how widespread the issue is since many drivers, like Sydney, won't go to authorities or Uber. Drivers fearing retribution from alleged drug dealers who have their names and license plates, and possible penalties from Uber if they cancel too many rides. Uber denies it penalizes drivers for this, saying drivers are instructed to contact law enforcement if they're suspicious of a package. The company says using Uber for illegal activity is expressly prohibited.
Do you use Connect anymore?
No, I don't do Connect very often.
Now, this small group of Uber Connect drivers say they want change, including running background checks on customers, removing penalties for drivers who cancel deliveries, or limiting Uber Connect service to businesses instead of individuals, ultimately hoping to drive away these alleged dangers.
Zinhle, obviously, these drivers want some accountability. What is Uber telling you about their specific actions that they're taking about these allegations?
Yeah, Vicky and Morgan. So Uber says they have a global safety team to respond to these kinds of allegations. And one of 2 things can happen. They can deactivate that relevant account, or they can contact law enforcement. Still, though, the drivers we spoke with say when they've reached out to Uber, not much has happened. And you got to remember, they're worried about their safety and their livelihood. So Absolutely. A lot to watch out for with this investigation.
A lot at stake. NBC News correspondent Zinhle Essamuah, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.